It's Tuesday, the 26th day of June, 2018. And I come in here occasionally, every few months, and I say, this may be the most important broadcast I've ever done. I used to say that every couple of years, but there's a quickening, a lot of big things happening, and everyone knows that InfoWars has its finger on the zeitgeist. You've heard me saying they plan on civil unrest leading to civil war, soft civil war, is a term I coined about a year and a half ago. Watching the enemy's activities, watching what they've done in other countries, knowing that it is stay-behind networks of globalists in the CIA running this. Well, the blueprints of how they've done this in other countries and then how they've operated here domestically are crystal clear. And yesterday, if you'll remember, I rebroadcast about half the show because I was so pregnant in thought that I was not saying at all or not giving you the future, because I've already told you what was coming, and then now it's here. So I need to stop proving I was right. I need to tell you what's going to happen. Now, the White House watches, the Pentagon watches, and they've got a good idea as well. But I'm going to lay out exactly what Mueller's going to do. I'm going to lay out exactly what Pelosi's going to do. I'm going to lay out exactly what Brennan and Clapper and all the usual suspects and Comey are going to do. And we've got their battle plan, so this is a big deal. We need to lay it all out, because this is undoubtedly, up to this point, the most important broadcast that I've ever done. And it is incumbent on everyone to understand why they're trying to squeeze down InfoWars and why they're trying to block us, is because they know our talking points are dead on and will torpedo their entire agenda. And they know that if the talking points get to the president, who is now back to doing whatever he wants, that they're done. Now, Trump already has great instincts and doesn't need me to tell him what to do. But I have been asked to present what I think to the military, the police, and everyone else. And I'm going to do that. And it's a big responsibility. But I can tell you that this is the only broadcast out there that's doing anything like this. Sean Hannity has begun to do some of it. That's wonderful. That's why they want him off the air. Tucker Carlson, some. That's great. But they are under a lot of pressure. And I know for a fact Hannity was almost thrown out a year ago. But he didn't back down. So I'm just telling you, there is a very small fraternity of people that will even go near the reality. And I have been asked, because other people are waiting. I have to do it first. You understand that? And I thought it was like when Soros would put this in his publications constantly and saying, we're following Jones's talking points, we got to shut him down. I thought, oh, well, they just think I'm just discrediting, so they're always focusing on me as a way to hurt Trump. That's not what it is. They've got it figured out. And it is a real revelation. It's also a sickening burden. The average little narcissistic devil worshiper out there would just love to have power because they have no idea what they'd even do with it. It'd be like one of the minions in Despicable Me, blowing itself up with TNT or something. So this is big stuff, and I just have to tell you how big it is. I can't just sit here and put out the info and then not tell you that it is the info. It is the info. And it is the future. And if you have the enemy battle plan, you should be able to stop it. So I've told you everything up until now was going to happen, and it's happened 98%, like I said. But we can change the future. It's choose your own adventure. So when we come back, I'm going to brief the world, the military, the police, everybody about possible futures. Infowars.com, newswars.com. Stay with us.
The Alex Jones Show, because there is a war on for your mind.
It's Tuesday, June 26, 2018. I'm about to brief the listeners, the viewers, the president, other individuals watching around the world about the current best estimates on the globalist attack plan for Europe and the United States. As many of the people in our government already know, we're in the midst of World War IV. World War III, of course, is what the CIA called the Cold War. World War IV is by megacorporations against individual nations and the family and the human biological system itself. It is a complete technotronic, technocracy, genetic takeover of the planet itself, in the words of Google and the other technocrats. They are planning to fully implode the third world nations that they control. They've been exploding for decades. They have put in policies in the third world to double their populations and then deploy those populations against the West in a giant Cloward and Piven type program to bankrupt the social compact and bring the world back into a new dark age of collapsed austerity and starvation that will depopulate at least 80% of the earth. There will then be a de-evolution to city-states, corporate city-states, corporate islands that will be high-tech breakaway civilization oases. Now, I've been telling viewers and listeners about this for 20-plus years because it's in the globalist white papers. But we're here now, and they are executing the operation. But their operation is being executed while sane individuals in our governments, in corporations, and in government, the military, private life, have seen enough of the plan. They know how bad it is. They've known about it for a long time, but they've been bullied, intimidated, attacked. So patriots in the last few decades have gone out and recruited and started organizations around the world like UKIP and others, and what Ron Paul and others did, to begin for the preparation and defense against the main globalist move, which they always, again, would deny was happening, so we would be flat-footed. But we were not caught completely flat-footed. In fact, the globalists were caught flat-footed when they went to their main launch. Everything else has been preparation. So, we are here. And currently, the West is under total attack using humanity, using huge streams of desperate people leaving collapsed globalist-controlled systems like Venezuela, Cuba, the collapsing Middle East, which, again, 7 years ago, Obama and Hillary on record triggered to collapse good governments, moderate governments, to destroy economic infrastructures in 4 different nations that were stabilizing all the Middle East and Africa. This is an admitted post-industrialization sabotage plan to then collapse Africa, collapse the Middle East, use that for destabilization to begin to collapse the civil unrest into the stands, into Russia, into Asia, collapsing into Western Europe, collapsing in the United States, using Latin America. This is all a plan. And Ronald Reagan was briefed on the plan in 1983 when they discovered that the Democratic Party was already having meetings with the Ford Foundation. This has all been in congressional hearings. You can pull them up on YouTube. And they were planning to use giant third world populations that they would bring into the U.S., turn against the U.S., have them racially identify against whites, and then basically have a weatherman style. You've seen the tapes the weatherman talking about having a collapse, and then having a race war in America that then allows the UN to come in to stabilize things. Well, we've now seen a replay of that plan. We've now seen that. And the left and PBS went, oh, my God, look, FEMA camps, Rex 84, to put whole families in these things. And even back when I was first waking up, people would deny that that was real, but I knew it was in government documents and congressional hearings that I'd read about in newspapers. It wasn't until years later I actually saw the video that had been on C-SPAN years before that I'd missed, that somebody had archived. And so then I realized that Reagan wasn't perfect by any yardstick, but they put in Rex 84 to activate U.S. military bases if we got hit with 25 million people, if Latin America collapsed, as part of a globalist communist plot, that they would have to then house all these people and not let the disruption be triggered to then burn down cities and bring in the leftist breakdown of society and civil unrest that they wanted for a civil war. You can go read synopses in the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Miami Herald of Rex 84. Much of it's been declassified. Garden plot, cable splicer. And then if you read the news today, you see Trump is implementing the beginning stages of Rex 84. And it would be called Rex 2018 or Rex 18 today. So Trump has implemented, it probably has the same name, Rex 18. And again, it shows how you learn things as you get older. That is a U.S. stabilization emergency program. And it's an active measure preparation training scenario that they've been carrying out at least since 1984 that has now gone live. Now, it's not martial law as the left advertised it. And again, this showed how I didn't understand when I was reading 25 years ago. This was the preparation if they tried to have a civil war to simply be able to house the giant populations during a collapse event. The same thing they're doing in Europe, bringing in over 10 million military-age men, building the migrant bases, inviting everyone in to collapse the borders, to collapse the social safety net, so the UN can come in and announce an emergency reorganization of the EU, an emergency reorganization of North America, which is in Reuters today. UN to present plan for Mediterranean migrant centers and an EU army, which they've already set up, to block the nation states stopping the Islamicists pouring in. So again, and there's thousands of angles and points, but I'm trying to give a condensed synopsis of this, and then the most important point when we come back from break. Because I'm mainly briefing the general public at this point. The president knows all this, obviously. What has to be understood is the Democrats, by their action, their body language, their telecommunications, their signals, their demeanor, and their previous activity indicating future activity, and all of their preparations show that Antifa has withdrawn and is prepping for assassinations, brutal attacks. They're going to hit hard. They are preparing arson. They're preparing to attack police stations. They're just the front for other more professional paramilitary teams that are going to be in behind them. They're just the throwaway decoys. And as of now, the deep state, the globalists, and you see it everywhere, are preparing the atmosphere by the middle of August, late August, unless we get the word out and back them down and stop them. They're going to trigger from soft civil war to real civil war, and then Mueller in September is going to begin a WikiLeaks-type cascade where he begins to dribble out fake news and disinfo about Trump being a Russian agent, corruption, women's scandals, Roger Stone stuff, Alex Jones stuff. He's joining us bottom of the hour, exclusive, what they're now looking into. My filmmaking, Joel Gilbert's filmmaking. The FBI is considering saying our films are criminal and our political speech that are criminal. They already tried to charge Gilbert before. Remember 3 years ago? Saying he violated campaign finance law. So they're looking at criminal charges against me. And you have to understand, this will be during martial law and burning cities and Trump being assassinated or being forced to step down. So you're like, well, that'll never happen. Oh, no, they're getting the charges and everything lined up for thousands of people. And a lot of us will just get hit at 3 a.m. So I'm telling you, they're going to begin triggering in August, maybe even earlier because we're exposing it. And it's not launching well. It's not going well right now. Then by September, middle of September, they're going to start releasing all the stuff on Trump that's made up and cooked up. And you've got senators hinting at that. Buckle up for more Robert Mueller, Russia revelations. Key Senate Democrats, says at a party, blah, 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 Senator Mark Warner. Oh, and just like we heard from Tom Arnold that, oh, he was going to be with Cohen and he was going to bring down Trump and Cohen had all the dirt. It was a hoax. They're just going to launch a bunch of hoaxes coming up in September into October, and they'll either try to have them via the 25th Amendment, as they've already announced, have Trump stand down and have his cabinet turn against him, and if that doesn't work, they will probably blow up the White House or shoot down his aircraft.
You're listening to The Alex Jones Show. Listening to an InfoWars.com frontline report. It's Alex Jones.
Now, continuing with my emergency briefing to the planet. and to all the patriots around the world and here in the U.S. that want to have prosperous nation states with true open free societies. We are witnessing the corporate world government assault on Europe, Australia, the UK, the U.S., with hundreds of millions of illegals. You've seen Macron talk about the leprosy of the West and the leprosy of nationalism. That's the president of France. And saying we're going to bring in 200 million people from the Middle East and Africa in the next decade. You're like, well, that's almost the population of Europe. 90% of them don't even ever get jobs. It's total economic warfare. Now, let me get back to the briefing here. And then I'm going to come back and go through all the documentation and all the evidence of it, but I'm giving you the boil down here. Remember a year ago, I said Antifa is getting the names of federal law enforcement, especially ICE, and they're getting the names of conservative police and judges, and they are going to kill you if they are allowed to. And now Antifa has doxed, clearly given inside knowledge. And who is Antifa? They're government employees, people like Reality Winner. They're tenured professors that go out in disguises and do this. And this has all just been preparation. And the real Antifa only puts their little meth head decoys out while they watch the police and they watch the public. And so remember, a year ago I told you that, and I told you they were preparing it, and the New York Times said I was insane, and there was no call by Antifa to overthrow the government, even though they'd run a full-page ad in the New York Times saying overthrow the president physically. You go, yeah, that was weird. Why did they do that? And then why did they deny it at the same time? Because you tell your people, get ready for war, gear up. But then when the other side starts getting ready, you go, oh, I'm not going to attack. That is a classic tactic because it gets enough people on the other side not to get prepared, not to get ready. And I said they'd fail last year. And I said it was a beta test, that if they couldn't remove him politically, that they would do it physically with civil war. And now that's the word, the compound word, civil war. You're hearing it everywhere. Top professors have come out now and said, no, we're in a civil war. We're not in the early stages. And they're calling for more and more violence. So what does the president need to do? Well, the president is already doing what he has to. He's getting the emergency preparations ready to stabilize the government during this. The police and military are being prepared for it. The problem is they have stacked the ranks of the FBI particularly, and many city police departments with actual communists. I mean, Brennan voted on record. There's like Washington Post articles for the Communist Party back in the 70s and was admitted to the CIA because he was one. He's also a Wahhabist. And that's the big piece of news here, is this article from January 10th of this year is the key to all of this. We have their battle plan here, 25 pages of it, from a brother of an Antifa individual who was able to capture the documents, and we confirm their authenticity. The media never covered this. They never challenged it. And it is how they were working with major police departments in blue cities, but only with the leadership, to allow Antifa to attack police, to allow them to burn and agitate to try to get urban black populations to burn down the cities. But they didn't do it everywhere they tried. You've been seeing Obama try this for a long time. This was 2015. And it's all the admissions. It's George Soros' group. His son, Alexander, is the general. He runs it. Read the documents. And it's how they stage this with the police. It's the action BW1041815. Now, you want to go read this. You need to go understand this. And it's all the places they targeted. It's what they did. This is criminal racketeering of the highest order. This is espionage against the country. It's friends of democracy. So all of this has been a beta test, but now you see Netflix, every movie, every TV show about violence and uprisings and the purge, where the U.S. Army is the KKK and wears Klan outfits and comes and kills black people. It's all to create a simulation in people's heads into the summer, trying to get everybody angry. Trump did the right thing trying to diffuse it, even though it looks like it gave them what they wanted. It diffused it because he knew the children weren't being hurt. He knew very few were being separated. And so he's trying to diffuse them. He's doing the right moral thing, not luring them in to try this. But he's telling Maxine and others, watch out what you do, because I'm telling you, Mr. President and everybody else, they are going to try to kill you. And they're going to be threatening your family and trying to turn them. They are going to be threatening to kill your family. They are going to target your family. This is a globalist move. They don't care if it looks bad. They don't care how it looks. They are not going to let your family live. They are going to kill everybody in your family when they make their move. And so they're going to go for broke. It's going to be like a Maoist purge. The weathermen that advised Obama, and it came out, of course, in congressional hearings, and Larry Grafwald and others exposed it, who infiltrated them, how they would do all of this back in the 70s was their plan, and how they were going to kill 25 million people and put 25 million more in camps. So, bottom line, they are going to try to execute this. They are going to try to execute this. And the Justice Department has been captured. Rosenstein's a globalist operative. That's been proven. For whatever reason, Sessions is compromised. Or they would have already moved on Soros and his son when we got the criminal proof of what they did. Instead, we've got the tech giants and everybody else trying to side with the globalist. And you've got all these cowards that think they can appease both sides. So people are telling Trump what he wants to hear about fixing the country and turning it around and not wrecking everything. And other folks are then out of the other side of their mouth going along with the plotters. But I know this. Brennan and all these other people, Clapper, Hayden, Hillary, you guys' only hope is to not execute this, because you'll never, never get away with it. But that's why they go on TV and say, he'll be dead soon, he'll be out soon. This is triggering their people inside the deep state. Hold on, we're going to win. All they do is put on a confidence act. They're losing. The economy's coming back. The sovereignty's coming back. Poll numbers for Trump with black Americans are doubling. Thousands of factories are coming back in. Hollywood's imploding. Secret technologies for life extension are beginning to be released. Medical breakthroughs. We've got a guy in there really trying to fix things. And why wouldn't there be some elements of the establishment that didn't want to have a giant globalist orchestrated Mao-style communist operating system for megabanks to totally shred the country and re-educate the U.S., as if you'll ever win when America's whole ethos is about fighting empires and digging in. Yeah, I mean, it's just you will be destroyed. I don't care if you guys think you're going to sit there in Hawaii or sit over there in Tasmania or Switzerland and escape this. I mean, you are playing a game of chicken, and we're not going to turn off the road either. So it's coming down to this toe-to-toe battle with the globalists and the final battle for the republic.
You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
We are back, and I was laying out the fact that we are in the middle of World War IV. Powerful multinational corporations are hell-bent on bringing down nation-states and capturing the jewels of global control, the West, and then deploying that wealth, that technological prowess, into establishing the first true corporate planetary government. And to do that, third world populations are being used as weapons to break down our borders. They intend to then bring in a race-based, ethnic-based, culture-based civil war, in the Democrats' own words, and then they intend to target and physically attack Republicans, Christians, conservatives, patriots, nationalists. There was a big video from Steve McQueen's The Great Escape going around, I'll show later, on Twitter last night with Democrats' prominent Twitter accounts saying, I shot a whole video on it, saying, oh, you're lucky we just ran Sanders out of the restaurant and chased her down the street and chased her into another store. No. This is what's going to be happening to you. And it shows Nazis at a French cafe in The Great Escape being machine gunned. M.S. Bellows Jr. was one of the ones tweeting it, said, I got asked to leave. It's nothing. Here's how the Trump administration officials will be treated at restaurants. If we don't stop them now, they should thank us. And that's what the Antifa are, the professors and the corporate people that are part of the left. And they are, I know, the biggest gun shops in town. And they've asked me not to particularly get into what place they are, but I can quote them. They said, listen, our biggest business now is leftist, and they're in there training how to use firearms, saying they're getting ready for civil war. This has been going on for a year. And it's not lost on them, though, that they want my guns, but they can have guns. See why I have my guns? It's for deranged lunatics like you. And you've got hashtag Hunt Republicans and the year anniversary of Scalise getting shot. And you've got crazy Maxine Waters putting the talking point out like Donnie Deutsch and like Pedo Fonda saying kidnap Barron, put him in a cage, burn down the facilities. You've got the doxing of the ICE agents by Antifa. That's by federal stay-behind network agents. I told you. They've already got the Office of Personnel Management. Obama gave that to the leftist. They've got all your houses, where you live, where you're at. They've got access to the databases to track you. They're in the NSA database. They have put hundreds of thousands of their own people, like Reality Winner, a member of ISIS, a person that said all whites should be genocided, a crazy white woman, was let in to run super high-level security clearances. Some of the highest clearances you can get. She was hired because she was a fruitcake, lunatic, evil person. Because she would start a war with the American people and burn down prosperity and create racial division because she was a bad person. Now, I'm going to go over all the background on this and show you the articles, the documents, Rex 84, everything that ties together to this. And I didn't sit there and say those terrible things they're planning to do with the president, which they've said they'll do, just to hype things up. This is their move. And the globalists are planning a complete overthrow of America. It's their only shot now. And the same thing in Europe and hundreds of millions from the third world. This is happening. The UN is announcing it's taking control of the euro. It's announcing it's taking control of the military. That's Reuters. The Nancy Pelosi and Loretta Lynch said they were going to bring in UN officials to run local police departments. Remember when Hillary got in office? But it didn't happen. But they're still moving forward. Now, I'm going to go over all of it, but now people are finally listening because top professors are going, we're not gonna see a civil war. We're in one. So let's be honest. And then let's talk about, later in the next hour, what do we do as solutions to counter this? Well, you understand that they're going to try to cause a civil unrest, race-based, Democrat versus Republican civil war that will be used to make Trump stand down. And then the UN will come in for reconciliation and will arbitrate and will oversee the refugee centers, which are the port of entry for the takedown of the country. This is global government. This is capitulation of America. This is war. This is their stated plan. Reuters today. Okay? UN to present plan for Mediterranean migrant centers for the EU. EU announces a EU army to not let nations leave and to make nations let the, quote, migrants in. It's all here, but you've got patriots getting elected everywhere. The tide's turning against them. The blue states are all collapsing. People are fleeing. Merkel's in deep trouble. They don't know what to do, so they're going to move their timetable up. They're activating the colleges. They're activating the Antifa. They're activating the violent groups. Antifa's saying they've got targets picked out in every city of who they're going to kill. They're just the cover for more serious hit teams. And then during all the unrest, so they can get rid of Trump or remove him or kill him or have a 25th Amendment, which, again, Clapper and Brennan are on TV saying, the cabinet must remove him now. We must take him out now. If that doesn't happen by October, because they know they're about to lose in a red wave, then they are going to try to kill the president. And I'm telling you, they know they're going to lose. They know everybody's turning against them. They know the poll numbers are even way better than what they're saying. And they are in Hitler's bunker, basically. But we could let them manipulate us into going along with their narrative and their hoax And so this country and the world, this is a global system we're fighting, is on the razor's edge right now. Now, dovetailing into this is Roger Stone with exclusive information about the latest dragnet of Mr. Mueller and Rosenstein committing violations of the government regulations that are very, very serious that he's discovered, and some other huge developments on the dragnet targeting Joel Gilbert, myself, and other filmmakers. So this they're looking into campaign finance now. Like they put Dinesh D'Souza in prison for 9 months, saying he did something wrong on campaign finance. And they've already tried to arrest Gilbert a few years ago, saying that his films he mailed out to people during a campaign was campaign finance. And you're like, well, that's crazy. But if they've got a civil war or martial law and Trump goes down, that'll be their excuse not to even kill us, but to arrest us. Then it'll all be nice, neat, and tidy. So they've got a couple tracks going here. And so after Roger breaks this down, I'm going to ask him, what does the president do? Because it's a clear and present danger. They're doxing everybody. They're saying civil war. They're saying harass and intimidate people. Folks are getting attacked everywhere. And at a certain point, we can't just sit here. It becomes a dereliction of duty. We have to move against these people. So, Roger, thank you for joining us with the exclusive info. We got 2 minutes to break. Give us a synopsis, and we'll come back and get it all out there.
Well, let's do it this way, Alex. Yesterday, the former CIA official, Mr. Mudd, I think, gave away the game when he said, we're going to kill this guy, referring to Trump. We, meaning the CIA, the intelligence community, have been around for, since the 1900s. And we're just going to kill this guy. I take that very seriously. I wrote a book on the Kennedy assassination. I know the role of the Central Intelligence Agency and the Pentagon and the FBI and the Secret Service in that coup d'etat. So I think Mr. Mudd has given away the game. That's exactly what they have in mind. Now, we're going to be called alarmists. We're going to be called extremists. We're going to be called conspiracy theorists because we point this out now. Also, right here on InfoWars, I predicted the 25th Amendment play by the establishment, and here we have it. Once again, InfoWars, tomorrow's news today.
And it gets more insane. Mudd, I looked into his genealogy. It appears is related to Dr. Mudd, the only other person convicted of shooting Lincoln, of helping John Wilkes Booth. And so here is another guy calling for another death of a Republican president by assassination. And it appears he's the same family from Virginia. I couldn't trace it back because the records didn't go back for us, but it goes back to the same town. And he's definitely related, but I don't know if it's directly to... and that's where his name is Mudd, comes from the traitor Mudd. Can you believe that, Roger?
It's amazing, Alex, and not a coincidence.
Absolutely. I mean, this family has Republican just bloodlust. They hate America, folks, and it's unbelievable. And here's the deal. I am honored to stand with Roger and the president and you. We're not bullied. We're not backing down. It's a game of chicken, and I am just pressing the accelerator down, and I'm going right down the center lane, and let's go. We're going to do it. Let's do it.
I want to rock.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're going to see some serious shit.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Shots. Those who seek to inflict harm are not fazed by gun control laws. I happen to know this from personal experience.
I can end the skyjackers tomorrow. All you got to do is arm all your fists.
I don't think that you should look back and whine and bellyache or try to hold somebody else guilty for everything you did.
Where's the beef?
All right, what is the Trilateral Commission? An organization founded in 1973 by David Rockefeller.
You see, what they're really up to is a scheme to plant their own loyal members in positions of power in this country, to work to erase national boundaries and create an international community, and in time bring about a one-world government with David Rockefeller calling the shots.
As Oliver North's public battle over government secrets and the illegal supply of weapons to the Nicaraguan Contras is waged in Washington, congressional investigators in recent months have tried to learn if Mena, Arkansas was an illegal staging area for shipping guns to the U.S.-backed Contra rebels. It all begins in 1982 when this man, Adler Berryman Seal, showed up in Mena, Arkansas.
He used to smuggle drugs, then he got caught, and he became one of the government's most valuable informants in the war against cocaine. But last night in Louisiana, Barry Seal's enemies caught up with him and killed him.
17-year-old Kevin Ives and 16-year-old Don Henry were struck by a train. The medical examiner has said that the boys were asleep and drugged with marijuana. The parents, however, disputed that claim.
The boys were killed because they had stumbled upon a large shipment of drugs dropped from an airplane.
Tears in the fabric indicate that Don had been stabbed before he was run over by the train. In light of this new evidence, the grand jury changed its ruling from probable homicide to definite homicide.
I'm scared of these people. I'm very scared of them.
How you think the crack drop gets into the country? We don't own any planes. We don't own no ships. We are not the people who are flying and floating that shit in here.
I will tell you, Director Deutsch, as a former Los Angeles police narcotics detective, that the agency has dealt drugs throughout this country for a long time.
The men who were working for the CIA's army were responsible for bringing all that cocaine into Los Angeles that sparked the crack epidemic.
My boss goes on a fishing trip with George Bush, and when they come back, they say the ends justify the means.
Sir, the Republicans are trying to blame you for the existence of a small air base at Mena, Arkansas. This base was set up by George Bush and Oliver North and the CIA to help the Iran-Contras, and they brought in plane load after plane load of cocaine there for sale in the United States. And then they took the money and bought weapons and took them back to the Contras, all of which was illegal, as you know, under the Bolin Act. But tell me, did they tell you that this had to be in existence because of national security?
We had nothing, zero, to do with it, and everybody who's ever looked into it knows that.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. These allegations are false.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show. Live from Austin, Texas, broadcasting worldwide, it's Alex Jones.
Well, you just heard Roger Stone, who has predicted everything that they would try to do to Trump, including the 25th Amendment move. He said that a year ago here. The whole Alzheimer's thing, all of it. And they are now openly saying we're going to have civil war. We're going to harass Republicans and their families. We're going to harass any Trump voters. We're going to physically hurt them. Antifa is doxing federal law enforcement home addresses. They're saying target their families, that Hollywood stars, Hollywood turds are out there saying burn down their houses, attack them, kidnap their children. Donnie Deutsch is saying they're all Nazis. The Democrats are circulating video online of the Great Escape with Steve McQueen, where they're machine gunning Nazis at a cafe and saying, this is what we're going to do to you in the cafes now. It's just unbelievable. And then I saw the comments last night when I showed that they were tweeting that. And people were like, yeah, we're going to kill you. Well, here's the deal. It's like James Woods said. Everybody's going to get armed who isn't already armed, go out and get some more training, watch our six. And if anything happens like this, we're going to fight back. So I appreciate Democrats being honest about what your intentions are. So, if I have to defend myself, it's very, very clear who was the aggressor. I mean, I understand that the Democratic constituents tend to be followers or mentally ill or have a lot of problems or be on the government mammary gland. But I don't think they understand, like, threatening us isn't making us go away. It was kind of like Hitler bombing London. He thought it would make him give up. It made him go from being against the war for the war. Roger, you've got a lot of big breaking news here, but I think people need to understand that you just concurred with me, and sometimes you disagree, but you just agreed that they are going to go to the mattresses. They know they're losing. I mean, you're saying you agree with my analysis. You can see the preparation everywhere. I mean, they say they're planning this, and I just don't know how the president doesn't move on them. I mean, I think that he should probably fire the attorney general. He should fire them all. He should put new people in. He should declare a civil emergency. Definitely the country's in one. George Washington did that during his first term, and point out who the traitors are, because these aren't organic Americans that are doing this. These are people trying to overthrow the country, quarterbacked by the UN, trying to break our borders, trying to capture the country. This is our nation under attack. And I think the president has been very judicious and very restrained so far. And he's been turning the economy around, trying to get people to wake up and just be decent. But they've proven how evil they are, and they're just howling for his blood, my blood, your blood. And so we now move into survival mode against these people.
Well, and their hysteria is only increased by a growing economy and by the disappearance of the polling edge that they seem to have in the upcoming elections. There will be no blue tidal wave. There may be a red tidal wave. Every day that goes by, the economy improves. They know that the president's personal and corporate income tax rates have not yet even had a chance to have their full positive effect. So things are only going to get bigger, better, and I think that strengthens the president's hand.
And that's why the Democrats now admit they want to bankrupt the economy to stop us. I mean, they are the enemy.
There's a piece up on Bloomberg today that says Robert Mueller is now going to focus on Russian collusion. Wait a minute. I thought that's what he was focusing on from the beginning. This nothing burger story ties together every non-crime, every allegation, every false or muted fact about the fact that there is no Russian collusion. It mentions the contact through Michael Caputo to me by Henry Greenberg, but it never mentions that Mr. Greenberg is an indisputable FBI informant. Really, Chris Strom and Shannon Pettypiece need to be ashamed of themselves. This is not journalism. This is an attempt
This is fraud.
It really is. It is fraudulent. In my own case, as you know, Reuters, AP, others have reported that the FBI has interrogated and in some cases subpoenaed, in other cases are attempting to subpoena, a number of my current and former associates and employees. Now, I know how this works. I've seen enough mob movies. You find the underlings, you find something they've done wrong. Let's say they didn't pay their federal income taxes. Now you give them a walk on that charge in return for testifying against the big fish. That would be me. So we don't know what will happen, but we do know that the lead prosecutor investigating Roger Stone comes from the Baltimore U.S. Attorney's Office of Rod Rosenstein. That's interesting because Mr. Rosenstein, by regulation, is not supposed to be involved in the operations or staffing of the special counsel's office. So how this lawyer got his job, we don't know. But we do know that they will find no evidence of Russian collusion and Roger Stone, no evidence of WikiLeaks hijinks and Roger Stone, no evidence that I had foreknowledge of John Podesta's email.
And I want to go back to this because I was just reading the Bloomberg article they put out, and they think we have no memory. It's like we're goldfish. It says Mueller now, for the first time, focusing on Russia, and he's accelerating things. Yeah, because he knows they're about to lose the midterms. They thought they'd win the midterms, then have their impeachment, but instead they're going to totally politically, right before I'd say September, October, start releasing all the latest hoaxes, like Tom Arnold saying that Trump's lawyer told him he had all the dirt, which he admits was a total hoax. So I expect a bunch of those hoaxes going at the same time with him trying to start a race war at the end of the summer as some way to drive the president out and get his cabinet to go 25th Amendment. But if that doesn't work, you agree they are planning to kill him.
Well, and they're now examining the independent political operations of my independent efforts to elect Donald Trump, specifically the Committee for American Sovereignty, which produced the documentary banished the Danny Williams story, seen by 35 million Americans, which, by the way, debuted right here on InfoWars. Also produced the Danny Williams rap video by the Freenauts, seen by 28 million people.
And
again,
you played it and aired it and promoted ads in black urban areas, and many experts credit it for Trump winning.
100% legal. But Joel Gilbert is now under the microscope, the incredible director of these videos. This is legal harassment by a vengeful federal prosecutor with a partisan objective. I'm being targeted because I'm a friend of Donald Trump. I am being targeted because I have been effective in the election of Donald Trump. Is this Hillary's payback? I suspect it is. And Alex, I don't need to tell you, the cost is enormous. I want to thank the thousands of people who have sent contributions to my legal defense fund at stonedefense.com. I'm going to be bankrupt by this process, but I will not throw in the towel, and I will not quit, and I will not roll over, and I will not testify against the president.
And there's nothing to testify about, as you've said.
Well, but see, they try to induce you to compose testimony. It's an age-old trick.
Well, sure, but last time you were on, you pointed out you've done nothing wrong, and so you never testify against him. And then they said Stone admits he did something wrong, but he won't flip on the president. They are such incredible liars. And speaking of that, I didn't even plug one time yesterday because I'm so upset about what's happening and all the calls for violence and the fact that we know they're going to make their civil unrest, martial law move. And it's just a terrible situation, but I didn't even plug yesterday one time. We have Super Blue fluoride-free toothpaste fortified with colloidal silver and iodine. It's amazing. 50% off the adults, the children's, the Super Blue immune gargle in 3 different sizes, the mouthwash. It's an amazing product, folks, what it does for the gums, the teeth, everything. InfoWarsLife.com. You can buy it all individually, or you can get it in combo packs. Everything is 50% off in the Super Blue family. We have 33% off our amazing Knockout Sleep Aid Natural Formula, 25% off the water filtration and air filtration, which are already the best deals out there. We cannot go any lower than that. Read the thousands and thousands of 5-star reviews. It takes a lot of money to fund this operation. InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com, or 888-253-3139. And yes, when you go to the site, we have a link to donate to us. Those donations really, really help. I want to thank you all for those. And they know we're beginning to win. That's why they're so scared. Roger, people can buy your latest book, Stone's Rules, at InfoWarsStore.com as well. But more importantly, tell folks the best website where they can go and make a donation so you can stay in the fight.
It is StoneDefenseFund.com, StoneDefenseFund.com. You can send a contribution there. Look, the survival of InfoWars is crucial for my own survival because they're the only ones who are going to tell you the truth if the government decides to move against.
Stay right there. Let's do 5 more minutes. We have a special guest in the studio, the amazing Lucas. Think about this, folks. You always get the news a year before here. They know that. The enemy knows that. And so we're going to talk about what should Trump do next to counter this? What should we all do to stop their civil war plan?
For a peaceful world. You know, sometimes you need some crazy motherfuckers to change something. Steve Jobs is crazy. Now we all on Steve Jobs' phones. They say Trump's crazy. They say I'm crazy. But I'm here to show love. It's a bigger plan, and I'm just doing what the universe told me.
Resistance to tyrants is obedience to God. It's Alex Jones.
And now the left's favorite director, Mr. Lynch, has come out in support of Trump. Every other left icon, Morrissey, the list goes on and on. Anybody that is really about prosperity in the future knows that Trump's a good guy. But the globalists, Brennan, others whose specialty is overthrowing countries, admit they're trying to overthrow the president and the electoral process. And so it's all public now. And we kept warning of this and warning. Now they're public. Roger, what does the president need to do? I mean, if we don't talk about how we respond to this, we don't want to get tricked into doing something too much, but at a certain point, that becomes a mind game of its own because when they're already going hot on you, I think the big thing is people need to know how serious this is so they don't get the jump on us, and that they are planning at the end of the summer, into the fall, to basically trigger civil unrest and the assassination of the president and a total political shutdown. They're also pre-programming, I've noticed, in Bloomberg and McClatchy and everywhere now, that the Russians are claiming that people want to overthrow Trump, and that the Russians are claiming the little girl really wasn't hurt. And the Russians are claiming that the left wants to sow civil war, when the Russians have nothing to do with it. They're the ones doing it, so that when we're saying, hey, this is bad, don't do it, they're going to say that's Russia propaganda too. I mean, hell, if, you know, I didn't cook my kids' eggs right this morning, it was the Russians' fault. So in the 3 minutes we have left, what does Trump need to do?
Well, the single most important thing he could do today, right now, in the next hour, is to terminate the employment of Rod Rosenstein. Mr. Rosenstein certainly has grounds for termination. He has not turned over to the Congress what the Congress asked for. He has turned over substantially less than what the Congress asked for. He is the one who signed the surveillance authorization under a FISA warrant based on fraudulent information. Those two acts of treachery alone should merit his termination. We won the election, but the deep state continues to control the Justice Department. The president cannot possibly combat the coming counter-revolution, the coming revolt to overturn the country in a coup without a Justice Department committed to the rule of law and the prosecution of those who plan to execute the violence.
And Roger, you were completely right. That's why Mueller admits he's accelerating his fake Russia probe, is because he understands the wheels are coming off. Rosenstein is absconding with evidence. He's violating federal rules. He's got his own picked lawyer after you that violates federal rules. He's got to go, or Trump is in dereliction of duty. Trump is totally, completely innocent of all this. It's been proven. Rosenstein is a criminal coup plotter with Hillary, with McCabe, with Strzok, with all of these people. And Trump must move against the clear and present danger before they crash the economy, assassinate him, and start a race war. So it's got to be done. Rosenstein's got to go, and I think the Attorney General does as well. You ought to fire both of them.
Amen. From your mouth to God's ear.
It's got to be done. He can't wait till Mueller comes up with all his fake garbage down the road and then just lets them continue to engage in criminal activity. We have the proof from the beginning it was a frame-up. That means investigations are over. I cannot believe that Mueller has not had his arrogant ass thrown in prison yet.
You know, it's amazing. I did an interview with The Hill, Alex, last week. And although I never used the word indict in my interview, their headline, Roger Stone expects to be indicted. Not what I said. Roger Stone expects to be framed. That's a real possibility.
God bless you. We'll be back.